My name's Abigail, and you're listening to Absolutely Me. Well, Madison, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
It's so fun to have you here.
It feels weird, like, not massaging you while I'm talking to you right
No,
now.
I know it is weird. We're, like, looking at each other in the eyes.
I'm like, whoa, usually I'm looking at your back
Yes.
or your leg. Or
Yes, it is so funny.
I'm like, this is what your face looks like? Wow, it's so beautiful.
I know, thank you. You're so nice. You're very beautiful, too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you couldn't tell, Madison and I know each other because she is my massage therapist.
Yes.
And the reason for my life being so good is because I get massages from her.
I don't know if you could credit your whole life to me.
I don't know. It's quite a significant amount, I would say. It's definitely made my life better. So everybody, at the end of this, I'll give you Madison's info. You can all schedule a massage with her because she is literally the best thing ever.
We'll take you. I'm excited.
Yes. So I'm super excited to have you here. We've been talking about this for a few months, I feel like.
Yeah.
Of wanting to do this.
It's been a while leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Letting it sit for a minute.
Mm-hmm. I know. Do you want to talk about why we're here?
Yeah. I lost my partner about 6 months ago almost now.
Mm-hmm.
And the grief journey's been wild and chaotic and beautiful all at the same time, right? Yeah, it's been heavy.
Yeah.
There was just some choices that he made that led to an accident that took his life, and so there's some complicated feelings around that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the duality of grief, of being angry, sad, missing him, loving him, and just enduring all of that all at once.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. It's complicated to work through. I definitely, one approach that I took with grief too was I knew on the other side of this I was going to be changed, and there's no doubt about that. Just like, do I want to be better on the other side of that, or I don't know, it's just a huge choice approaching it, of how I want to go about it is so individual.
Yeah.
So
I love that you have kind of that positive framework in your mind, though, if you can call it that, going forward. Like, you know you're going to be changed, and to really, like, process and go through whatever's going on right now so you can come out the other side and be changed, whether that's, you know, positive or negative things that happen. Or I think that's great that you're recognizing that.
yeah, I mean, people are bound to experience grief at some point in their life. Like, we lose people all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's definitely giving me a shade of the human experience going through grief. I'm only 28 and losing a partner, where, right, our expectation was I'd lose you, or one of us would lose each other when we're way older.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely happened sooner than planned, and there's a lot that goes with that.
Mm-hmm. And we'll dig into all of these things. Do you want to kind of start and tell us just a maybe like timeline of your grief over the last 6 months?
Yeah. Definitely he passed away end of January.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say obviously the first week was shock and anger, a lot of anger.
Mm-hmm.
But not even anger for my sake, but anger for his loved ones, for his family. I was focused on that for probably a good month or two of, like, is everybody okay? Being a healer, right?
Yeah.
And caring for people. I definitely shifted a lot to, is everybody okay? Is everybody fine? that I probably was overbearing at times, and also didn't give myself the space to just be in my process either. It was like an avoidance. And it took about the second week to where I was like, I miss him, I love him as much as I'm like mad at him. And after the shock settled, right, all the people that were in town, they all went home, and that you really settled in with like, oh, I'm now alone, because you get bombarded and you're in shock, and so people are reaching out, you know, saying what they say. Some people are like, I don't know what to say, and I'm like, that's okay, because there's nothing really to say, you know, nothing changes anything. Even people that have experienced grief, like, they definitely came with this understanding of knowing what I was going through, and my great-grandma's words were probably the most impactful for me, because she lost her partner. She's the only person that I know personally in my life that's lost a partner.
Yeah.
And she's been without her husband for 20 years. And there's different shades of relationships of people in your life. And with him being a lover, there's just another level to it. Like, parents, they know you, they birthed you. Which is great, there's like a depth there. You know, siblings, they know and understand you better than anybody. But a lover and a partner, there's just like, they're the only person in your life that like you choose each other, right? So your parents are stuck with you, your kids, they're stuck with you, you know, siblings, family, but your partner is the one person that you choose, and they choose you in return. And so to lose the only person that I was with since I was like 15, you know, the only man I said I love you to, the only person that I was in a relationship since I was 15, it hurts. It's painful. There's layers to that. People in his life, you know, they have their partners, they have their kids, they have their families, but I felt on the other side of it like I'm the only one here that's like completely and utterly alone after everything. And that's hard. It's tied into your worthiness to feel loved a little bit. It's just painful. But I think I just knew going through the grief journey that I don't want to take on any like self-sabotaging behaviors. If I didn't have a therapy journey before he passed away, I would probably be a complete mess. Causing financial ruin, damaging relationships around me, intentionally, you know, like, and just, you don't feel worthy of love, and so the things that you do while you're grieving can be messy and can be really emotional, that sometimes people don't want to be around it, or sometimes people don't want to hear it. That it adds to even the feelings that you get. But without therapy, I would probably be a mess. It's been really helpful.
Good.
And just doing a lot of stuff with self-care and healing, energy healing, which has been amazing, because I've always experienced things spiritually as a person that have just increased since he's been gone, and feeling him, talking to him, you know, and engaging with him in a different way.
In those like spiritual sacred places.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't expect them sometimes when they come up and when they happen. But it brings peace at the same time, too, as painful as they are to interact with it. It definitely could feel the love from him after he's passed, which just showed how amazing of a person he was. That even though we had our trials and we had our troubles, like we still just loved each other so much. And he loved his family and friends, so it's been good to have the energy healing in place as well, because I'm not just experiencing grief on like a mental and emotional level, but also a spiritual level. So that tool has been helpful.
Had you done energy healing before having this grief journey?
Yeah, I've been receiving energy healing pretty much since I went to massage school 10 years ago. So it's been a huge part of helping me as a massage therapist too.
Yeah.
Because we take on a lot of stuff from people, and we're interacting with things that are, you know, more than just physical. And so it's been really helpful to not only just have talk therapy, which is vital and important, but also energy healing, to kind of just recognize like what's my energy and what's from someone else or from something else.
Yeah.
That sometimes people, if they don't know how to decipher that, they can take on things that aren't theirs, and that can be harmful.
I'm definitely like one of those people. I feel like, because I'm such an empath, I just like take on so much energy from other people and carry, so I could probably use a lot of that energy healing.
Yeah, and it would
probably be good.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I think some empaths like, get frustrated or they get scared of it, but it's like if you just move through it and learn how to harness it or protect yourself and guard yourself as well, it's just the consequence of being the people that we are, in tune with the things that we are. You just have to harness it.
I love that. Do you feel like your priorities have shifted since you lost your partner? Like, do you feel like your values in your life have changed?
Definitely. There was a huge moment there where I was debating on not going to med school anymore. Actually, I was like kind of losing it a little bit. That I was thinking I just wanted to ditch my whole life plans, but my stepmom, who's a hospice nurse, she just kind of explained, don't make any major decisions for a year after losing somebody like that.
Yeah.
You know, no major life decisions. About a month after he passed away, then I was like, no, I still want to do this. I still want to help people. There's still that purpose that I serve. I did decide, because I was debating on going through either towards psychology or go towards med school. And then I realized I can do both if I become a psychiatrist. So I really did pivot things. It made me kind of find myself a little bit too, take pause. When things come up, sit with it. Don't push it aside. Feel it out and ride the waves. I feel like waves is the biggest thing that we use for grief. People always say, you know, it comes in waves. But it's like when it first initially happens when you lose somebody, it's like you're in the ocean and you're constantly feeling that feeling. So it feels like the waves when they hit aren't as hard. But it's almost like when you get towards the beach, and that's where the break is at, and you're getting these moments where you're starting to feel like you're laughing again, you're happy, and then you get hit with that wave of grief, and it hits hard, and there's guilt with it, there's, you know, the disappointment and anger coming up again too, and then it's like when the wave settles, for me, I'm like, I loved that person, and I'm so glad I had them, and that I still have them, like, watching over me, right, and they're still a part of my life, just in a different way. And so waves, I feel like, is the one that we all use the most.
I love that analogy, though, because it's for people who haven't experienced, like, major grief in their life, it's hard to even comprehend a lot of what that feels like or looks like. And so I think that analogy is really good because I think a lot of people can relate to that and thinking about them being in the ocean and like getting hit with the waves. Like I feel like that's a very common life experience that people have had. So I think it's good to have some of those analogies because it's hard to explain like any of these like really big traumatic emotions that we're having. It's hard to put into words sometimes. I feel like I know like in grief I've had and trauma I've gone through, it's very difficult to put into words what exactly I'm feeling and what exactly is going through my head and like exactly what these things feel like.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I didn't answer your question fully with that. I feel
It's
like
okay.
I pivoted.
No, it's fine. We can pivot to whatever you want to talk about.
But yeah, basically with the values and things that I prioritize, definitely you find the people that are important and valuable in your life through the process. I think secondary grief is huge, where you lose people in your life as a result of your grief, because it can be messy and it can be chaotic and what's the line? There's a line that his cousin always says that's so amazing. See, those that matter don't care, and those that care don't matter.
Yeah.
Like, what? Wait, no. Hold on. Why is that?
Is it those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind?
Yeah, those who mind don't matter and those that matter don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, you figure that out and you find that. Because there's times where I'm like, I know I'm just constantly talking about like how much I miss him, or like how sad I am, or feeling like I'm just a broken record.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a constant experience for me, and it's always gonna be there. My great grandma that's been missing her husband for 20 years, you know, I have discovered it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to just, he was in my bed, right? Like, we shared a bed together, we shared a space together, you know, very, very intimate, intertwined life. Because we were partners for 6 years collectively. So there's things about myself. I met him when I was 17, 18. So there's things about myself that are here because of him. You know?
Yeah.
And there's little reminders everywhere. You know, we would rock climb together. He was also a massage therapist. So when I'm working, when I'm climbing, when I'm working out at a gym, when I'm eating certain foods or going places, even my period, which is already an emotional time. I never kept track of my period because I didn't have one for so many years. And then when I did start getting them, he would always be like, yeah, you're supposed to start this weekend. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's so sweet.
I'm like, it just comes when it comes. And he's like, yeah, you're going to start soon. So then when I start my period, I'm like, he was the one that was like, yeah, that sounds right. You were about to, you know, he was the one keeping track of my period. And I'm like, God, you're such a sweet human being. And like, who does that, right?
Yeah.
But there's like those little things that bring up and trigger, and they just come and you sit with them for a minute, feel it out.
Well, you guys had a lot of history together too, so it's like a lot of, like you said, just little moments that just remind you about him, I'm sure, and like you said, those feelings are still there, like that, the love is still there, and like you know that he cares about you so much, and like just the reminders of him and like the value that he gave to your life, I'm sure is difficult to like think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's heavy, and when it comes to just thinking about even dating again too, and like I'm 28, so I'm still young, there's still that possibility where like my 95-year-old great grandma, she's like, yeah, no, I've lived till I was 75 with him, you know, I have grandkids, I've got all that, so it's a whole other thing when you're young and you're like, oh, I have to date again at some point, and whoever I end up with, this is a piece of me, and it's gonna be a really special person to, like, be a part of this as well. And to recognize, too, that it doesn't take away from what I'm gonna feel for the person that I end up with.
Yeah.
And that, honestly, they can be, I hate to use the word more, but they can be more than he was, because they could be my husband, they can be the father to my children, the grandparent to my grandkids, you know, like, there's gonna be things that we're gonna experience in our life that I didn't have with Alan, as much as he was, like, a big part of my life and a piece of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whoever I end up with, there's gonna be things that won't take away from it at all.
Yeah, for sure. I think a big part of losing a partner too is like grieving that future too, like things that have not yet even come to pass yet, that you're not only grieving like the loss of them like right now, but like the loss, like you said, of your expectation with your relationship was you're going to grow old together, you're going to have children, you're, you know, going to live this beautiful life together. And now you also have to, in addition to grieving like the loss of them as a person, you have to grieve the loss of the future that you wanted with them and like the life you envisioned going forward.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And that's, I feel like, is a whole other level of grieving too.
Mm-hmm. That it's like it just felt like my whole life pivoted and changed, right? 'Cause
yeah.
you have this plan of like living a life together, and we were supposed to build a future together.
Mm-hmm.
And that just comes to a really dramatic halt with just not being able to live out those things, and even just thinking about the things that not only I didn't get to live out with him, but that he himself didn't get to live out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there were experiences he still wanted to experience, and
mm-hmm.
he didn't get to, and so it's hard. And you just think about the pieces that can't be finished in that puzzle.
Yeah.
But sometimes I forget about that too. I think I've moved into a point in my grief too of trying to not think about that as much.
Mm-hmm.
Of like woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Mm-hmm.
What could have happened, or which was pretty big. I don't know. It's really kind of technically fresh, only being 6 months in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure whatever I'm saying here today, I'll have a way different perspective a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
6 months from now. So it'll be interesting, I think, even to come back and listen to this and be like, oh, what else did I learn? Or
mm-hmm.
what else did I gain clarity on or expand on?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. And what do you feel like your grief journey is right now? Where do you feel like you are with your grief right now? You said you're trying not to think about like woulda, coulda, shoulda. Are there other things you're focusing on?
Yeah, right now it's gotten, I think, to a phase of getting over the secondary grief, the losing people in my life as a result of the grief. I'm kind of just getting on the other side of that, which has been, I think, a bigger distraction from losing him, because it's people that are physically here.
Yeah.
Which is always hard, and like I understand that it's messy to be around somebody that's grieving. Now, at this point for me, I'm kind of looking more into like, okay, just focus on those people that have showed up for you these
mm-hmm.
last 6 months. Like, I've called my dad, just countless times, bawling out of nowhere, and he's been amazing and supportive. And
mm-hmm.
I've had close friends that are just pushing me at the same time too, like just to be honoring me to be authentic in it as well, and validating my feelings around grief and supporting me through it. I had a trip where we had tickets for me and Alan to go to Blink-182, and my friend Phoebe, she's like, you're talking to the biggest Blink-182 fan, like as I'm crying, saying like, I don't know who's gonna go with me, should I just sell the tickets? And I'm so glad she did, because she's enduring grief as well with losing her mom this year. And so we were just in this Blink-182 concert crying together, and I'm like feeling him, and she felt like she got a piece of herself back that day, and like it was just so beautiful to have those friends that are like authentic as well, and we can just be honest with each other in our processes. And so it's been amazing to just kind of focus on healing and just feeling things out as they come up, because I know it's just going to be a constant journey. I'm starting to just now feel like I have more energy in my day. I start school in the fall here in like a month.
That's awesome.
So I'm just starting to feel like, okay, I think I have the energy for that. I entered a pretty deep depression about like, I think 2 or 3 months in to losing him, that I didn't want to move. I didn't want to do anything. Like the suicidal ideations got really bad just because I would lay in bed and like he's not there.
Yeah.
It was countless sleepless nights, and just feeling alone.
Yeah.
That I finally felt like I got through that, that I'm not experiencing those really anymore, which was hard.
Yeah.
Which, seeing everybody's journey with losing Alan, when you're experiencing the suicidal ideations, you don't want your loved ones to go through that.
Yeah.
And so we were like, nope, I gotta push through. I've gotta keep going. And that's hard to work through. Yeah, just trying to not stay there when it gets low like that. So I'm just now feeling like I could go to the gym, I can be active and be outside in the sun and enjoy myself, and just not let those little waves bring me down so far.
Well, that's good. I feel like it sounds like in your talking, you're more entering like maybe the acceptance phase of your grief. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. It is so interesting because they have those, right?
The 5 stages of grief.
Yeah. But then they don't seem to be linear like
that. No, I was gonna say that too. Like, I feel like they have like the 5 stages, and you kind of just like bounce around between them, and like every day is probably a little bit different, and like there's probably like some overarching themes in grief, but I feel like every day with grief is different, and like every moment is different with grief, and like that's part of what makes it so tricky too, is just this like huge range of emotions that you're feeling, right? Like you said, anger, depression, sadness, you're feeling like lonely, you know, you have happy moments and you're feeling guilty for being happy, and like this huge range of emotion that you're experiencing.
Yeah.
And that's like why it's like so emotionally draining and overwhelming, because it's just like this huge like roller coaster, like from one moment to the other. It's just like you're slamming up and down constantly in your emotions. So it's hard to like navigate that or even understand what it is you're feeling, let alone like engage with the world when you're having this like torment battle within yourself.
Oh yeah. Like for the first few months, memory was so bad for me. Like,
yeah.
And time moves, it still kind of moves weird, but memory and time feels funky because you're just looping through that. And I'm like, oh, I forgot this thing because I was just like spiraling through those stages in one day or even an hour. And so it feels like it just takes up so much energy. And I'm so glad I dropped classes, because there was no way I would have continued classes. And I think, too, we just have this mindset of hustling and pushing and grinding, but it's also very avoidant as well, that it's not, like, actually honoring or sitting with anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw my story today, but I kind of posted too where it's, I don't like leaving things in a corner to fester.
Mm-hmm.
I like to tackle things head on, so that's why like therapy and other forms of self-care and processing was so important to me, because I don't want this to just be shoved somewhere to fester.
Yeah.
And come out in kind of like an ugly way or destructive way.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I have to be like honest with myself too in the process, that when people ask, like, my answer will probably be different every day, how I'm doing,
mm-hmm.
or even different depending on the person who's actually asking.
Mm-hmm.
That if I have the space to be honest with somebody, I will. Or if today's a good day, then I'll say good. You know, tomorrow, if you ask me, it's not a good day, I'll probably say not so good. Doesn't mean that I'm lying or being fake, right? It's just taking that day, and I'll probably be going through that for a while.
For sure. I think too, it's so brave of you to even have this conversation. Like, I'm so grateful that you're even willing to come and talk to me about this, because I know it's so heavy, and like there's a lot of emotion that comes up with these things. And like, even with my trauma, like anytime I talk about like leaving my abusive relationship, like, it's like you said, it's different depending on who I'm talking to, and like how much trust is there with that person, or like how much emotionally I feel like I'm like, okay, I can dive into this today, or like, okay, I'm doing fine, but on the inside I'm like struggling so hard. And that's like that's gotten a lot better now that it's been so long that I've been out of the relationship. But I just remember like right at the beginning, when it was taking everything, like all the emotions that I was experiencing, and just like a constant roller coaster of emotions, and it was just so mentally and emotionally and physically draining just to even like get out of bed in the morning and like go to work and eat some food and come home and go to bed. And it's just, so I'm really grateful for you for even being willing to come and talk about this, because it's a hard thing to talk about, and you're being very, very vulnerable, and I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm always open to it. Like, it's just I try to just live pretty open to most people, right? And like authentic. And I've noticed by me being like my most authentic self, it gives other people the freedom to be their authentic selves.
Yeah.
Especially with massage, you guys are really vulnerable getting on the table with no clothes and trusting me to like take care of you and like be safe, be a safe person, which requires a lot of vulnerability. So I try to meet that. You know, I'm gonna be vulnerable with you, especially if you're on my table. And it just creates for a lot of really amazing conversations and friendships that have formed with clients.
We've had some good conversations in the massage, in the hour Maddie's massaging me. We've had some really good conversations.
Have some breakthroughs.
Yes, it's been great. Yes, so that was part of the reason I was so excited to have you on too, because I was like, we always have the best conversations.
We get deep. We get deep.
We do get very deep. It's an hour of just like debriefing on like one random obscure thing that we talk about. It's awesome.
I love it. I don't know. In massage school, they just kind of tell you like there's these no topics, right? Like politics, sex. What are some other ones? Religion, you know, and
it's like Thanksgiving with your family rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And I think, I don't know, I've had a span of all those conversations with clients, as long as they're like respectful conversations, right? And it's been so amazing to me being a therapist and seeing different people in the world, right? And like their perspective was probably different from mine, but I learned and I discovered why their perspective was that way.
I love that.
And it's kind of made me just this person that's like, it's not black and white in this world. It's so gray.
Yeah.
And there's reasons why people have those perspectives due to like their fields of experience and their background in life. And so I've loved it. I've loved just being open and vulnerable, as long, conversations stay respectful. And my clients are amazing. I just love and adore everyone.
That's so good. I love being your client. It's the best.
I love having you as a client.
Yes. Sorry, Tiffany, who is the one who introduced me to Madison. I am her favorite client. You heard it here.
Oh, whoa. Okay, I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
We don't have to battle for that, but...
I'm just kidding. Just in my brain, I'm your favorite.
You're like... We'll just say that everybody.
It's just everybody. Yeah. It's just me. Today it's me.
Like, hey, all my clients, you're in your head. You're my favorite.
It works. It works.
We won't say who.
We'll all just be delusional together. It's fine. It works.
No, I don't even know if I could pick one. You guys are all so amazing.
I know, it'd probably be hard. I feel like you've gotten a lot of practice, though, like, being vulnerable with people before, like, losing Alan and being able to kind of have, like, vulnerable conversations, like you said, with therapy and with just, like, being vulnerable already with clients. I feel like that was probably helpful. Just getting, like, a little bit of practice being vulnerable before.
Yeah, I think it's like a muscle, right? You have to just exercise it.
Yeah.
It's really hard, which was a muscle we were exercising with Alan, right? And like, a lot of people are closed off and they're protecting themselves, for whatever reasons. But I have just discovered it, like, there's nothing that you can hold against me that I don't already take ownership of, right? And so I just try to be open and vulnerable. It's not gonna hurt me if I don't, like, give power to those things. So I try to just be transparent and just let people know my experience and try to do it in a way that's not burdening anyone. I think because I go to therapy, I'm trying to, like, self-evaluate in the process as well. Just being open and vulnerable can't be harmful to me, I guess. Like, it's only as much power as I'm gonna give it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if I wear my heart on my sleeve, and, like, sure, it'll get hurt, but I don't want that to change me as a person or change my character. That was a huge epiphany that I had, I think, a few months after Alan passed away. I was like, as painful as this is, I don't want it to make me bitter. I don't want it to make me cynical towards people. Right? It can be easy to be mad and to close myself off to people as a result of the loss and the pain and all that, but that only hurts me, I feel like, in the process, and closes me off to somebody that I can probably find that will appreciate that about me and take care of that and nurture it for me, as well. But if I just close myself off and I'm bitter, and it's just gonna hurt me, and that's it.
How amazing is it, though, that you can be so, like, self-aware in your feelings, and, like, so self-aware and, like, what's, moving through you and how you can come out on the other side. And I think that's amazing that you even are thinking about that. Like, that's amazing to me, because I feel like if I was in your shoes, that would, like, be the last thing on my mind. So I think that's amazing that you're so just, like, present in what's going on, and, like, thinking about how all these things fit into, like, in the puzzle piece of your life is kind of what I'm picturing in my brain. It's like, put these emotions in the little puzzle, and this is how it works, like, for the rest of my life. Like, it doesn't have to, like, we don't have to throw the whole puzzle away. Like, it just fits in my life differently.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be intense, right? To feel your emotions, and then, like, sometimes it can feel it's easiest to just, like, shut it off or shove it away, but it only just festers and, like, adds to, like, more patterns that, like, I don't want to live out anymore.
Yeah.
Or, that's probably not, like, honoring me either. And it can be intense. Like I said, it's a muscle, right? So therapy's huge to help kind of process those things and recognize those things and have a place with this unbiased person to help break it down for you. But it all started just kind of by doing therapy, and Alan was like a huge person where he just like never saw bad in people. Like he was never mad at people or like held things against them. He was a big lesson for me, I think, too, to recognize and see like perspective of people, because there would be times maybe where I was like being a little cynical towards somebody, and he would just like very calmly be like, yeah, but that says more about you as a person than them. Or you know, he would just always say these profound things that I was like, you're right, I'm being really critical of this person, and you just grounded me back down. And so that's also why it's so hard losing him, because I'm like, what would Alan say or do, you know? And what would he think about these people or feel about these people? Because he's just so wholesome. And it's hard to lose your person. It does that for you. So now I have to just try to remember how Alan would think or feel. And yeah, he was a huge lesson for me on a lot of levels.
Yeah, that's so special though that you had that person in your life, that you can like keep that as a part of you now going forward. You know, you can keep that piece of him and honor that going forward. And like you said, try and think like, what would Alan think about this, or how would he feel? And just, and even without having him here, like you can still use his strength and use what he gave you to ground yourself and like keep that part of him with you moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And like, he's always there.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a piece of who I am as a person, and that'll never change.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's so beautiful.
It is beautiful. I know. I feel like this is another thing I wanted, because I keep wanting to say like I'm sorry and like this sucks and you know all the things, and I feel like that's not really helpful for people going through grief, because they're like, yeah, like it sucks, like I don't know what to tell you, you know, like that doesn't really cover everything. What do you feel like are things that people have said to you that were maybe like helpful or unhelpful as you've been going through your grief journey?
Trying to think specifically. It's so hard, because when somebody says I'm sorry, my response is, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so hard not even to know what to tell people to say.
Yeah.
Because once you're on the other side of it, I don't know, it's just kind of like anything that I say, like, won't change anything. It won't make anything go away. Words feel empty.
Yeah.
But actions are everything, honestly. Showing up for the person. Like, one friend of mine she didn't even say anything. She's like, I am bringing you soup. And she brought me, like, a self-care kit. She gifted me a massage and Reiki and, like, a little self-care kit. Like, these two ladies were just awesome and gifted me this stuff. And they're like, no words. Here's food, because you should feed yourself. And here's self-care whenever you're ready to go receive it. And actions, I think, go further than just words. Words are just empty. You can say words all day, but it's the actions that, for me, at least personally, I'm sure somebody else could have something different for them. But actions are big for me.
I thought that's a pretty common theme, though, with people that, at least from people that I know who have gone through, like, major grief periods, is because, like you said, words are kind of empty sometimes, and sometimes it's, you know, like we talked about earlier, you're not in a place that day that you really even want to talk about something, or like even with your friends that you're really close to, like I'm sure it's just there's some days you just want them to sit with you and watch a movie, or sit with you and cry, or bring you soup and leave you alone, and just like not have to sit and talk about it, and like keep like I know a common thing for people too that have lost a loved one is they oftentimes end up consoling the person that they're talking to instead of expressing what it is they're going through.
Exactly. Yeah. That it pivots all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Which, for me as a massage therapist, at least now when it comes up, like it's casually mentioned, and then they share, and it honestly is kind of nice. Like, I've had multiple clients that we've shared in that, of like losing a partner, and it makes you not feel so alone in this time where like it's the loneliest I've ever felt, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's like, oh, okay, like we can connect over it, but it's so individual too, because like what I say I want and need, somebody else who's grieving, it could be different for them. And they could have their own processes. I don't think there's really like a right or wrong way to grieve, right? Everybody's just grieving the way that they know how, with like the tools or at the capacity that they are grieving. So that's why even those that are also grieving him as well, like I just try to not take things personally, because I know like they're in their own processes too.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like you get multiple grievers under one roof, right? So you have like families, like losing a parent or a grandparent, and then you see different people expressing it different ways, and grieving the different shades of that person that they were to them. And so it's interesting to see really these people fully, and you kind of see like the layers of them in the process as well. And if you understand like where it's all coming from, then you kind of better understand it, and you can recognize like not to take it personally.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just there's no one way to grieve, right? But yeah, just ask the person, honestly, like, how can I support you in this, or how can I best support you, right? Because people are so individual. We could try to carry out the way that we think they want to be supported, and it could be completely wrong.
Yeah. No, I think that's true too. And because everybody is like level, kind of touching back on what you said like at the beginning of just like the different levels of grieving, like you said, his parents are grieving in a different way than you are, and so like even that just complicates the process even more of like they're grieving different loss than you're grieving.
Yeah.
And it just like everybody's grieving different things, and everybody grieves in a different way. And so everybody's grief is like so individual, and I think it's just, I love what you said though, just about like supporting and like asking and showing up for the person in the way that they would want you to. And do you feel like it was hard for you to express like what you needed, like when people asked you, or did you think it was like easy to tell people what you needed?
So my dad was the biggest one that actually like asked.
Yeah.
I think that's why I am the way that I am, because my dad's like just a very like direct person. When he flew in from Arizona, and so there were like funeral stuff happening, right? And it was just like his family, it was more like close knit, and he's like, what capacity do you want me around? He's like, I want to be there and I want to support you, but I also don't want to overcrowd you, which is why I love him. My dad's amazing. So there were a lot of points where, okay, this portion of the day with Alan's family is like more intimate and more like his family. So I'm like, I would say don't come to this part but you could come to, like, this part, and I'd love to have you here at this part, you know? So there's different points where I was like, I'm going to spend my time in this way with his family, and then there's these other parts where, like, okay, let's be together for these parts. And he was taking care of things that need to be done around my house, or, like, to-do lists and stuff like that, which I think is a part of why, like, acts of service are so important to me, because we value that in our family.
Yeah.
We're not, like, huge gift people, or, you know, like, we get to a depth together as a family, you know, on conversations. We're pretty honest without being offended or hurt. That it's kind of created my communication style to where we can just get into the nitty-gritty, deep stuff as a family pretty easily, and we've got this bond emotionally, but then we show up with acts of service as well. So yeah, that's probably the one person that was like, what capacity do you want me to be around, and what capacity do you not want me to be around?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, where do you need your space, and where do you need support? And I feel like some people probably wouldn't know, right? When you ask them, that they would not be able to vocalize those things,
Yeah.
because they don't know themselves.
Yeah.
But or it could change at different points, what you want and what you need. So yeah, I don't know. That's very one of those individual things, I think, too. Like, how self-aware are they as they're enduring grief?
Yeah, I think, like, one thing that I am trying to work on in my life is being more self-aware about my emotions and, like, being able to identify what it is I'm feeling, and, like, and expressing, like, my needs in a more specific, productive way than just, like, sometimes I feel like in my head I can kind of get caught up in, like, the swarm of just emotions and I'm like, I don't even know what it is I'm feeling or thinking, and I just kind of, like, withdraw into myself. And so I feel like that's good advice to get to know yourself and, like, be self-aware in your emotions, and, like, being able, that's something I'm trying to work on in my life too. And I feel like a lot of people could benefit from that, and just especially, I think it's like I said earlier, like, it feels like you had a lot of really great tools going into this situation, which a lot of people don't have at their disposal, and, like, I think that's great. Like, that makes me happy for you that you have these tools that are able to help you, and you're not necessarily just drowning with nothing.
Well, yeah, because some people would probably endure this and then go to therapy.
Yeah.
But then there would be, like, these levels and these layers to it that, like,
yeah.
that weren't already peeled away before this happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the boil over point, where it's like, oh, we probably should simmer the pot, you know, and keep it at a good level. So that's why finding that has been really good for me, and just keeping it consistent.
Yeah.
And it's a maintenance thing now, where I show up to my therapy session and I would think, oh man, I don't even know what to talk about. But then I get in there and you find yourself peeling another layer of the onion back.
Mm-hmm.
And even in this grief journey, even though it feels like the big blanket over it, it's been interesting through it, finding, like, these other things from childhood, or these other layers underneath as a result of the grief coming up.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause we have grief on multiple levels in different ways aside from losing someone, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, how else did I experience grief throughout the rest of my life, and kind of familiarizing myself with it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I don't know,
Well, you're just the best, and I'm so grateful for you for being willing to come on here and talk and be open with me, and hopefully this has been helpful for you and not overwhelming.
Oh yeah, no, I've been pretty open in the process of talking, and so yeah, this has been good.
Good.
I kind of came with like no expectations.
Yeah, I know. It's been a good conversation. I feel like, is there anything else on your mind that you want to express about grief or your grief journey where you're at right now?
Oof, no. I really feel like we talked about a lot of things.
Good.
We peeled back the layers. Do you have any questions for me?
I think I got all my questions. Is there, do you want to give a little plug for your massage?
Yes.
For your massaging?
Yes. So I have an office in North Salt Lake.
Yes.
That I run on my own. That I do massage. It's called Vive Massage Spa in North Salt Lake. We have a website, so if you Google us, you could find the website.
They are the best, and I can include the website link in the podcast.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So people can find you too.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I would love to work on everyone.
She's literally the best. If you thought this conversation was good, like, just wait till you're in a room and you've had a couple deep conversations and you're just like going deep on some random things. It's so fun. It's the best.
We get deep in the muscles, deep in the soul.
Yes. Deep in the muscles and the mind.
Yes, we do it all.
I love it. Okay, well, thank you so much. You're just the best.
Anytime. Thank you. This was so great. I loved seeing you.
I loved seeing you too. Thanks for listening to another episode of Absolutely Me. Thank you to everyone who helped make this possible. Shout out to Tanner Johnson for the amazing intro. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, tell all your friends. And we'll be back next Friday with another episode. Love you. Bye.